everyone, welcome to my first bullet journal video. So I always start off my monthly spreads by putting tape on the edge of the page so that I can see it from the outside. So I picked a turquoise for January. My theme for January was neon geometric, so you can see the marker colors that I chose off to the side, and I just started with the title for the month and some little accent details to show off that color palette that I chose. I use the Stabilo markers for the most part in my bullet journal. That's all I used for this month other than the tape, but you'll probably see some other markers, colored pencils type of stuff show up in later bullet journal spreads. So I felt like the page was a little bit too blank with just January written in the middle, so I started adding kind of this fence post design to the top and bottom. Again, just kind of showing off all of the colors that I chose. I don't really know what the inspiration was for this because I've never done a border like this before, even though I have several years of bullet journals that I have completed. But I really had fun with this one. I thought it looked pretty cool once it was done, even though it really did just look like fence posts, like a very, very crooked fence. Alright, on my next page I put a quote. In my bullet journals I try to fill all empty pages with quotes so that I don't have that empty space, and also they're kind of nice reminders of positive thoughts and things to keep in mind for the week. So because January starts on a Friday, I didn't do a full week spread for my first spread. I just split up my page for those first 3 days. And then at the bottom, I put space for my journal, my prayer section, and my gratitude section. In previous bullet journals, I actually did a journal section for each day, so it was at the bottom of my space for my to-do list. But I didn't always use up all that space, and I often found that I ran out of space for to-do list items and tasks, so I decided to separate that. Then I went in and started another border design. This kind of triangle geometric design is one that I have used before that I really, really like, especially for showing off bright colors. So I just start with a triangle and keep building triangles off that, and I alternate colors so that it gets kind of a mosaic design. This design typically takes me a really, really long time to do, but I like to do it especially on pages that don't get filled all the way because they're a partial week, because it's really pretty, but it does take up a lot of space and a lot of time, so I don't use it too frequently. And while I do use the dots on the page for my notes sections and to-do list sections, I really don't use it for these triangles. I just kind of free draw and fit in triangles wherever I can place them. You can do this same type of idea with circles or even rectangles and squares to give a different feel to it. Alright, and this is going to be my first full week spread, excuse me. So I split it up into a border at the top that I filled in with some stripes. And I used multiple colors to create those stripes. The lighter blue that I used is a little harder to see. It's kind of a blue-gray color. But I used the teal, the light blue, and the coral for this part of the design. Then I went in with my neon green and split it up into 6 sections. Another new thing I decided to do this year was making the weekend space half of the size of the rest of the weekly boxes, because I don't typically have as many items to get done over the weekend, or they're more big general items like cleaning certain rooms or taking care of things like bills, so I didn't need as much space for tasks. So I have 5 normally sized weekly boxes, and then the weekend ones at the end are half size. I also really had fun with this zigzag design at the bottom to break off my journaling section. So for this one, I started with a circle in the middle. I was kind of inspired by a sunset design, but you'll quickly see that I actually realized I skipped a page. So I ended up going back a page after filling in this circle to do a spread in between. So you'll see it go back and forth in the video where I finished this circle and then realized that I was about to skip an entire free page. So I'm going to fill in this circle and then go back. This is where I went back to start a spread in between. And with this one, I decided to use a variety of geometric shapes, and instead of coloring them in, I just kept repeating the outline, getting smaller and smaller going into the shape. But I used kind of a similar technique to my triangle mosaic thing I did at the beginning. I'm just doing it with multiple shapes and, again, those outline designs with all of my neon colors. I really liked how this design turned out at the top of the page. I thought it was a fun accent. This time I decided to use zigzag lines to divide up my daily boxes. And then I have my journaling sections at the bottom, as well as a spot for notes. I like having a section for prayer and gratitude every week, just to kind of help me stay grounded in things that are important and all the good things that are happening. Here we're back to that circle spread. So I'm splitting off the bottom first, and then I went in and marked off my daily boxes. I wasn't as thrilled with how this purple outline turned out, especially compared to how bright that sunset design is, but I think it looked okay. It was a little bit more on the simple side compared to some of the other spreads for this month. And my final spread for this month, I went with this kind of chevron shape to do something different. So I made that big V first and then split it into my 6 daily sections, leaving the extra space for my other sections. I also traced over that chevron line with all of my colors to create kind of a little rainbow. I have my notes and journal at the bottom and prayer and gratitude at the top. This last page is where I kind of put all of my things that I like to keep track of for the whole month. So I create a column to keep track of spending, one for some extra notes, one for goals and exercise, one for books I've read, one for craft projects I've done. And then I just went through and traced the bottom and one side with a neon color to give it kind of a shadow effect. Then I marked out spots for my mood tracker and my habit tracker, and you'll actually see in this one, I also messed up the habit tracker because I counted 31 boxes up for one day for the whole month, and then I realized I didn't leave space to actually write my habits. So you're gonna see me use my clever trick with some Post-it note paper where I cover up what I wrote before, stick it on, and then trim it to fit and fix that outline a little bit so it looks like there's just a neon heading for the habit tracker. So I drew lines back over it, and that will be where I write the things that I'm trying to do on a daily basis so that I can fill it in for each day and keep track. Then I started my mood tracker. For my mood tracker this month, I decided to do a mandala or mandala design. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I've heard it both ways many, many times. So I just made sure that I had enough layers in my design so that I had one stripe or section that I was filling in each day. And I started numbering those sections right next to my spending tracker, just so that when I do start to fill it in, I don't have to count out from the middle to find what spot I'm supposed to do. I can just find the number on the side. And this is my final page for the month for January, so I hope you really enjoyed watching me draw out my bullet journal. I hope this gives you some ideas for your own spreads. I will be doing one of these videos every month so that you can see kind of what I'm up to in terms of journaling. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Definitely a little bit different from my normal crochet knitting content, but I really had fun designing it.